Very respected panelist, and thank you very much, General Jaffrey and your institute for inviting me in order to talk on an issue which is very near and very dear to every Pakistani, because Kashmir is not an issue of the water for the Pakistan, but there is a relationship of interdependence between these two communities which goes back to thousands of years. It's not 1947 that this relationship was built. It's an old relationship and it's going to continue. And rightly said by one of the former president of Pakistan, the Kashmiri blood runs into the veins of Pakistanis and the Pakistani blood runs into the veins of Kashmiris. This is the relationship. I have been assigned the topic of ethnic cleansing of Kashmiris, particularly the Muslims, at the hands of Indian armed forces. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really talk about the ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiris, it's years and years, the centuries I would say. But talking about the recent history, I'm talking about 13th of July 1931, that was the beginning of the first Kashmiris killing at the end of the Dogra forces, where outside the Srinagar jail, at least 22 Kashmiris were killed while they were protesting against what there was a Qadir Khan who was raising the voice of Kashmiris. But formally, upon division of, or upon the partition of Indian subcontinent, 250,000 Kashmiris, they were dragged into that valley of death from various parts of the Jammu. They were indeed asked that you will be taken to Pakistan, whether on foot or on trucks or on weather resources. And then they were brought near the border, killed brutally. Some people say that they were 6 lakh, but there are the confirmed and multiple resources who support this massacre that is 250,000. But ladies and gentlemen, I am going to address this issue from two perspectives. That is how India look at the Kashmir and what is the Indian approach toward the Kashmiris, particularly the ethnic cleansing. The Indian approach has been direct as well as the indirect. And once I say direct approach, it is shoot to kill. It is custodial killing. It is torture. It is rape. And all I would say that the use of the pellet gun following the 2016 killing of, or the martyr of Burhan Wani. Thereafter, this is a continuous practice of killing the Kashmiris, and particularly today, the youths, they are at the target of Indian forces. But before I cover this particular aspect, I would point out a very, very dangerous trend which has been going on for years and years, decades and decades, now 72 years. That is the indirect approach of ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiris. And that indirect methodology of ethnic cleansing again started from 1947. And this is indeed the demographic changes which have been made in various parts of the Kashmir, starting from Jammu in 1947, that continued. And just to give you that in 1941, the last census which were held in United India and Kashmir too, Kashmiris were constituting, Muslim Kashmiris were constituting 62% of the total population. Unfortunately, today we have in the Jammu province only 32% Muslim population. And this is something I'm sharing with you with a reality. It can be 33%, but not in any case more than 33%. In the process of this demographic changes, you might have heard that 2014 Indian election was contested with the slogan that there would be doing away with Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, and this Kashmir is going to be merged with the Indian Union. And for that, for the first time, the BJP secured 26 seats in Indian occupied Legislative Assembly. It was to bad luck of the BJP government, or good luck for the Kashmiris, that they could not form a government. However, the government indeed broke down in the middle, and that 44 plus 1 or the plus agenda could not be attained. But India has still the strategy for the Kashmir, and that strategy is gradually doing away with the Kashmiri identity. And for that, India has divided these three portions of the Kashmir, that is Valley, Jammu and Ladakh, in three different regions. They say that only the Valley is Kashmir, and they have given Jammu people the different identity that we are the Jammu one. And Indian Prime Minister and the Indian successive governments, they are hoping that as far as the Ladakh is concerned, it has a Buddhist population. Therefore, the ethnic cleansing or the demographic changes which have been made successfully in the Jammu are being practiced now in Valley also. In Valley, there are 4 strategies which are being followed. One is that the Pandits which have moved out of the Valley in 1990-1991 because they wanted to have the Muslim killed thoroughly without any damage to the Pandits. Today they are asking that these Pandits would come back, and upon coming back, there are 2 ways for them, that they would have secure places on both sides of the GLM river in order to make the demographic changes or divide the Muslim population as a whole. And another strategy for them is Bantustan. And this Bantustan strategy has been basically the idea is the apartheid rule in South Africa. That is to have the secure areas for the Pandits on strategic locations. And for that, 2 years back, 17,000 canal lands in Kashmir was allotted for these Bantustan. This is a slowly and gradually construction of those houses. And today, if you are looking really that why there is a mass resistance of the youth in Kashmir, that's not only against the Indian occupation, but that's against what the demographic changes are being made in the Valley too. And if I recall what Narendra Modi in July 2014 said in Ladakh, in Kargil and Dras area, he said that you have a different identity, you vote for BJP, and we are going to bring massive changes as far as your socio-economic condition is concerned, because you are suffering, you are languishing in these hilly areas, and nobody, particularly Srinagar, is not taking care of you. So this is indeed the indirect strategy that is doing away with the Kashmiriyat of the Kashmiris and weakening the Kashmiri segment of the Kashmiri. And Kashmiris, they are fighting for that, fighting against that. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a direct strategy of the India for the ethnic cleansing. And as I told you, that this process started somewhere in 1947 and is continuing up till now. Yes, it got a momentum in 1990 once the Kashmiris, they started their massive uprising for the freedom from the Indian yoke. Unfortunately, they could not secure the freedom as yet, but definitely their struggle is going on. And this struggle, as a matter of fact, they have to pay a lot of, they have to pay as far as the human losses are concerned, more than 98,000 human losses in the form of the killing. 11,000 or more than 11,000 women have been raped. And then there have been the custodial killings. Then there have been the torture center. I am quoting here a very recent report, just released 3 days back, on 20th of May 2019. This report has been compiled, and this is consisting of around 560 pages with the case studies of more than 450. And this case study is all about what the United Nations Human Rights Commission report on Kashmir of 14 June 2018 said, that a sort of a court of inquiry which was to be established. Though these are the local NGOs, these are the local human rights organizations, but they have proved the theme of this entire report is that torture is being used as an instrument for controlling the entire Kashmiri population in the Indian occupied Kashmir. And the report indeed discusses various case studies that how Mr. A, Mr. B, Miss A, Miss B, how she was raped and how the boys were killed, what torture they have to pass through. And this process, as a matter of fact, this particular report covers almost the decade from 1990, but very few cases they indeed could lay hand where they could get the facts and figure. But the United Nations report, which was issued in 2018, 14 July 2018, that highlighted the entire spectrum of the massive human rights violations which are going on at the hands of the Indian security forces. And then, as far as the killing, torture, rapes, the Indian security forces, they have the impunity, literally the impunity as far as the arrest, as far as any sort of the accountability is concerned, in the form of Armed Forces Special Power Act, in the form of Public Safety Act. And then, very recently, two more instruments of ethnic cleansings were applied or used, or being used by the Indian security forces. And this is the 2016 Geospatial Act. And according to this Geospatial Act, Indian government has indeed introduced this act in order to tell the entire Kashmiris that anybody talking about the Indian Union, anybody talking about the freedom, anybody talking about anything that is the pro-independence, he or she is going to be taken to the task. And then very recently, NIA has been introduced. And this NIA is an instrument that all parties Hurriyat Conference leadership, they are being targeted for. And they are being targeted for just that, why you have the television at your home? Why do you have a bed? Why do you have a sofa, for that matter? It's almost tantamount to what it was, the Dogra rule, that you have a text for this window, you have a text for this door and all that. But this taxation, as far as this government is concerned, is a very, very heavy, which is costing the life of the people. And that's indeed very, very difficult time the people of the Kashmir, they are passing through. No, ladies and gentlemen, just giving you something from the first-hand knowledge from the Indian occupied Kashmir, because I have my students from the Indian occupied Kashmir. A student came after the summer holidays last year. He said that exactly 2 months I have spent on the various military posts. They were just questioning what you were doing in the Pakistan. You were studying, or you were getting the training, the guerrilla training against the to be part of this what the struggle is going on in the Indian occupied Kashmir. And the women, as a matter of fact, the parents, they wait that their daughters, their sons, they pass through a military post, because there are the military posts at every corner, every street of Indian occupied Kashmir, and they wait their daughters once they go to school, they go to colleges, in the universities, or the hospital for that matter, or at the places of their job. They are indeed always afraid that what's going to be the treatment with them. So this is a sort of indeed the treatment the Kashmiris, they are facing today at the hands of the Indian armed forces, and the brutality which indeed they are undergoing, you cannot imagine. Unfortunately, what's happening, that whereas the issue of Palestine, that has been in the limelight, every picture, every incident, every killing, that is being reported, because the international media has access to go there. But unfortunately, as far as the Indian occupied Kashmir is concerned, there is no media access, and particularly no free media access, the neutral media, even the Indian own neutral media is not allowed there. Human rights organization I am referring to, they have made their inquiries, their case studies of this massive human rights violations, while through very, very difficult times, but through very, very, I would say that sleepless nights, in order to get this data, and that data could reach to us today by the RIFAD. But truth is that you cannot have the access. You cannot have, you would not know what's going on as far as the brutalities are concerned. Then, ladies and gentlemen, particularly mentioning about the youth struggle, there was a strategy introduced by General Bipin Rawat upon his taking over of the army chief. He took over the army chief on 31st of December 2016. And by mid-February, he was able to give a strategy. And his strategy is known as the Bipin Rawat strategy. The Bipin Rawat strategy indeed is the pioneers of ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiris. It had the 4 points. The first is, anybody hoisting the Pakistani flag, just kill him or her. Anybody having the Pakistani flag hoisted at his or her residence, that house has to be detonated or burnt. Anybody, even throwing the stones against the Indian military operation, he or she has to be killed. And then most drastic is, terrifying is, that the youths, they are picked up from the streets. Youths are picked up from the educational institutions. They are taken to the torture centers. They are tortured for days, for weeks, for months, and maybe for years. And what happens then? After they are about to die, they are taken at isolated place. At time, they are given weapons that, okay, they were killed in the fake encounters, that they were firing on the armed forces, they were firing on the convoys. That's why they have been killed. And at time, they are taken to some houses, inside the houses, in order to find an excuse for detonating those houses, that these were the terrorists occupying these houses, and the fire was coming from all these houses. So these are the strategies the Kashmiris are facing. I indeed have a lot to say, but I know that time is already short. But just to give you a way forward, Ambassador Akram has given a very, I would say that sophisticated way forward. From my viewpoint, definitely, as far as the Pakistani Foreign Office, the Pakistani diplomats, diplomatic corps all around the world, they have to do a lot. But what I would really request the youth of Pakistan, that they can make use of the social media. And I agree, as a matter of fact, I have been asking earlier also, that let's have the case studies. Let's have a story built against each torture, against each killing, against each rape. That story, as a matter of fact, is going to be the proof and evidence tomorrow when the Pakistan is going to put the case of the Kashmiris at the international level. We need to awaken the conscience of international community. After all, there is a conscience existing. But we have not been able to put across our point of view. Our youth, our academic circle, our media, our diplomats, and I think everyone in the Pakistan, because it's our moral duty that we give the international community the first-hand knowledge about the brutalities which is ongoing in the Indian occupied Kashmir. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.